Hype Pseudo YouTube video, here to provide you guys another 22 million team for the Season 3 Continental Challenge bosses. And this time around we have Fire. This is the second easiest boss that I tested here on the test server. And we are using the tried and true Wild team with Erich and Tononon. Using mainly epics, legendary everyone has, which is Erich, and then Netta. So Netta's in here to provide some extra synergy since she has a higher wild success rate. So she's going to be able to provide those wilds more often, which allows both Tononon and Erich to get their passive stacks built up faster. And then, of course, Garius, being, as broken as he is in here to provide massive healing and basically tanks like a truck. And then lastly, Dane. So Dane is in here for a very specific reason. This boss, he gains a buff on his first two abilities every 6 seconds. And you want to remove those buffs because it's going to make his ult not only hit harder, but it's also going to make him take reduced damage. So the key here is to use someone who can remove buffs. And Dane can remove 2 of them with 100% success rate once you scroll him on the ultimate. So we're using him to not only remove 2 buffs, but then also to land the attack penalty, which is going to reduce the damage the boss is doing to us on the ult. And we have Garius in here providing big heals to heal us up after each ult. And then these 3 wilds basically just to do as much damage as possible. And this team was able to survive pretty much until the end. I think we die right around the end, maybe with like 30 seconds left. But in that time, we were able to get 34 million in. And so you have room to work with there. Even if your team is weaker than mine, lower levels, worse artifacts that are not leveled up as much, worse psyche core, there's like 12 million breathing room there. So this should be a team that you should be able to get 22 million with as well. So let's go over the gear. So first off, we have Tononon here with 80% crit, a bunch of crit damage. I decided to go crit damage artifact here because she's going to benefit from this crit damage the whole time with having 100% crit rate. So you only need 80% on her because of her passive. So keep that in mind. She gets a bonus 20% crit rate from her passive. And then we have Erich applying our Witch's Remains with, again, going crit rate, crit damage, just the basic DPS gear, and getting enough accuracy to land that. And finally, Netta, because her ultimate is so hard-hitting, it's an 800%, we are going Eyeball to even more amplify that damage. And again, trying to get, with her, we actually go for 100% crit. You probably don't need that much, but, you just want high crit rate, crit damage, and attack. And then with Dane over here, we built him damage. There is a possibility of actually, since his damage is pretty negligible, it's like the lowest on this team, it does like 9 or 10% of the damage. There is opportunity here if you wanted to get some more survivability. You could use a Puppeteer set on him. That's an option. I didn't feel like it was really needed in my team, but if you have a worse Psyche core, you might actually take more damage because I have some of the damage reduction points in my Psyche core. So you might actually need some more survivability. So that's an option here, is you put on another Puppeteer set on him to help spread some defense around to all the allies. And then lastly here, we have, of course, Garius with the Puppeteer set to give a ton of defense to all the allies around him. With a defense percentage artifact, this can be either Scarab or this eye patch. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't take really any damage this fight. He stays pretty much full health the whole time. And this is an 18-second boss, so you would think that you would need to get the cooldown low enough. But actually, all I did was I just had him timed to ult after the boss ults. And even though his ult is not fast enough, it will, as long as he's ulting at least once in between each boss ult, that's good enough. So he will slowly be ulting later and later, even if he doesn't have a lot of skill haste, but it doesn't really matter. As long as by the end of the 5 minutes, he's still ulting before the boss ults, you'll be just fine. Because, yeah, the boss ult is really the only ability that does AoE damage to your whole team. Everything else is single target, which Garius can heal up just fine just with his battle skill. And then Dane here, we're also timing him for 18. So he's the one that's crucial to have ulting every 18. So for that reason, we are using the Incense Burner to give him that 10% ultimate reduction, which on a 20-second cooldown would put him at 18 seconds. So we have him repeating every 18 at 14.5. So the boss gains his second buff at roughly 14.5. So this is allowing us to remove that buff right away. Allowing us to get a little bit more damage in, because one of the buffs that the boss gains is a defense up buff, and he also has this damage reduction for each buff he has. So the idea is to remove that as soon as possible to get even more damage. And so 14.5 is the best number for that. And then Netta's on default because she has a low cooldown, 16 seconds. Erich is ulting as soon as he can to get the Witch's Remains up, with Tononon following up 3 seconds later, giving him a little bit of time to apply it. And then again, you know, as long as Garius is ulting after the boss ults, and just leave him on default. You'll probably have a little bit of skill haste just through the set bonus of the Puppeteer. This gives 20 skill haste. And then maybe you want to get a little bit here on the runes as well to help out, because you don't want his cooldown to be way over 18 seconds, because then he might actually fall behind and be ulting at the wrong times. So somewhere between 18 and 19 probably is okay. And as long as you time him at 18.1 and leave him on default, he probably won't be ulting too late later on in the fight. So yeah, that's the team, 34 or 35 million roughly. Yeah, pretty good, very budget, only using 1 legendary artifact, and mainly epics and rares. Everyone should have Erich. So yeah, hope this helps you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, peace.